You are now watching Believe. Do you believe?
ED.
Yo.
It's the off season. That's what's up.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Hi.
Basketball is almost over, so which means we're actually ready to chalk it.
We're getting closer, right?
I mean, I know baseball's in the summer, but we're within 100 days now.
Speaking about basketball, I got a funny story to tell you. I don't know that I should tell it on this podcast or not, but I'm going to. Why not? I'm just going.
There we go. Okay.
I'm just gonna let it out there. This is the Believe in 49ers podcast on Believe. He is Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. I'm Rahshaun Haylock, and plenty to get to on this show. Hope springs eternal. The off season brings optimism. How optimistic are you about one Trey Lance? We'll get into that in just a minute, and as well as Jaquiski Tartt's replacement per se, Talanoa Hufanga. We'll get into him as well. As always, we want to encourage you to continue to download, subscribe, rate, and review. We're located wherever you find your podcast. If there's a like or follow button on your particular podcast subscription service, go ahead and hit that like or follow button. Feel free to give us a follow on YouTube as well. Get involved in the conversation on social media. I'm at Haylock on Twitter. He's at _Eric Davis _. And on Instagram, I am at Watch Ray Ray. He is at ED25. ED
TWO. No, that's wrong. ED. Two. I don't tweet. I don't get myself.
You don't DM yourself. Is what
no. So it's ED to FIVE.
What do you say?
Let me check. Hold up.
Let's get research on that.
Whatever it is, ED. Get research. Yeah, ED. They just hit me up. In my ear.
All right, cool.
ED to FIVE.
No, we don't want to. Last thing we want is to spread misinformation on this pod. All right.
We try not to do that. We really try not to spread misinformation.
So there's that. As always, we are brought to you by the fine folks at Bet Online, and you just touched on it, right? I mean, the NBA Finals are here, basically, right? You got the Warriors and you got the Celtics. My oh my, there's so many thoughts about that one. But anyways, our partners at Bet Online continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all of the latest odds, news, and sports developments for the NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball, fights, and NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all sports wagering needs, including live betting and the fan favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's really easy to get started. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up and use our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. He is Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. I am Rahshaun Haylock. They're reading this ad here made me think about something. Did you see the Jock Peterson Tommy Pham thing? They got into it over fantasy football. Two baseball players.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw that.
Right. I guess that's why I don't play fantasy football anymore. All right, so here we go. Okay, look.
Anymore.
If you
ever.
They got 3 seasons out of me. That was it. Now that was an arduous 3 seasons, but I did it. I did it for my friends. I actually won my first year, so I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I did it once and never changed my lineup and made it to the finals. That's why I was like, there is no reason to do this at all. I didn't even set my lineup, so I did auto selection. I didn't set my lineup, and I didn't change it the entire year, and I made it to the finals. So
that's legit.
That's how I feel about fantasy ball.
So if you watch this here podcast, obviously, you see what lays behind me, right?
They're back up. They were gone for a minute, but they're back up.
Yeah, they're. Well, they never. I was just.
No, that's right. You were in a different room. That's right.
Yeah, I was just upstairs. These were still here. I was just upstairs. So anyway, you talk about the finals, right? Who do I want to win? Not Boston is my answer, right? So that just happens to be the Warriors. So funny thing happened the other night, right? So the NBA on TNT, that they were out there in the Bay, right? Because the Warriors were there, and obviously Charles Barkley had said some stuff. He pissed some of the Warriors fans off, and so the next time they went to Golden State, I guess like they were throwing stuff at Barkley, and Barkley was about to throw stuff back. EJ was like, "Let's go to commercial." It was just this whole thing, right? And I was just sitting there thinking, and I was like, I was sitting there watching this and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, like those fans are so obnoxious, right? But they're all Niners fans. Which is the funny part, right? Like they're all Niners fans too, right? So I'm like, wow, like
Oh God! Oh
it,
God!
it hit me.
Yeah, the majority of them are. Yeah.
I'm like they're all Niners fans, right? So it made me think about something because like I got a couple relatives that stay in the Bay, and they're like, dude, how are you a Niners fan? Yada yada yada, right? And that's kind of like what they were talking about. And so I've seen that, but I've seen that as it relates to the Niners, and I just chuckle when they invade SoFi. You know what I mean? Because it's just humorous to me. But then watching that on TV, the way that whole thing portrayed, maybe it was kind of throwing the stuff, whatever, too, was a little over the top. But that thing that had me rolling for a bit. Anyways, I digress. So, Trey Day is going to become Trey Year eventually, right? Trey Lance is going to be the starter. Hope springs eternal. The all season breeds nothing but optimism, at least for some. For Trey, that hasn't necessarily been the case this off season, right? There are people out there trying to beat him down before he even takes his first snap as the starting quarterback. I know he started a couple games last year, but as the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, people are already trying to break him down. So that being said, first of all, it's kind of mind-boggling to me that they would even go there having not really seen Trey, right? But yet are incredibly optimistic about a Tua or Wilson up in New Jersey, New York with the Jets. Even a Justin Fields, who all guys that we've seen larger sample sizes, all guys who are starting quarterbacks in this league already, right? That have already been in that starter. They've been listed on the depth chart as QB1, right? Like they've been there. They've been in that position for weeks at a time, if not for the duration of an entire season. So why is it that Trey is getting beat down so much or has received such criticism, I guess, this offseason? Why do you think it is?
Because he hasn't played. You just said it. The other guys have the large sample size. So since Trey hasn't played, then I get to create the narrative. I get to decide what I want to say about Trey, and it's the offseason. So not only do I get to say it, I get to make it up because there is no validation or disintegration of my point this weekend. There's no game. So I get to get as many clicks and make as many people upset or whatever direction I want to go to try and get people to listen to what I say and follow my tweets and my posts and watch my show or listen to my podcast. Everyone, I can talk about it because, again, you have such a polarizing guy at the quarterback position last season for the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo. So guess what? Trey can't play. If a broken down Jimmy Garoppolo, he had one arm, 9 fingers, 8 toes, and they still started it. Trey must suck. So let's build on that. Let's build on that. You can't tell me that he can't play, that you can't tell me that he's the answer. You can't tell me he's good. You can't tell me they didn't waste those picks if he couldn't play for Jimmy. We all know why Jimmy was playing. They were trying to win a championship. He gave him a better chance at that time. We also know why Trey is a quarterback right now. Those of us that are in Niner land, we actually know that Trey's the guy now because they do want to upgrade that position. Trey wasn't ready. Doesn't matter now. I told you before, it doesn't matter if he's ready. I keep getting asked that question all the time. Is Trey ready? He better be because he's about to play.
Yeah,
that's just where it is. But that's why it's written that way, because he hasn't played. And since he hasn't played, I get to make up the story. I get to say, this is what it's about. I get to do what I want to do as a talking head to get people to listen to me. It's no more than that. That's all it is. I don't pay it any attention because I know what is going to happen. The offseason will eventually end. Weekends will come. They will play football games. And Trey will he will be named, and you said it, he has yet to start a game for the 49ers as the starter. Trust me, I know there's money I'm still mad about from the 49ers that I didn't get my rookie year because I wasn't listed as the starter. Until you were listed as the starter, you're a backup. You're coming in to play for the other guy until they decide to give you that opportunity and give you that title. His time's coming.
You said something very interesting, and it took me back to my days as a scribe, right? Well, once upon a time, I was a writer for a regional network out this way, right? And so I remember, and this was me starting, right? Like I starting as a writer covering a beat, right? I had all my previous experience had been on the TV side and had never wrote anything that an editor had to copy, I had to look at prior to that. And I remember being around some of these grizzled sports writers, if you will. And if we would get hosed by whoever was supposed to be speaking that day, right? If they gave us the Heisman, or if they cut us short, they only gave us, a minute or 2 minutes or whatever, right? I remember this quote like it was yesterday from this old grizzled writer: less of your words means more of mine. And so because
there it is.
because Coach so-and-so wasn't going to talk to us today, I'm just going to freestyle as much as I want because he's not giving me any words, so I'm going to use all of my words.
And I still got I got to get 300 words in this column regardless, right? So, and most of the time, when you walk up, I tell this to young athletes all the time, that the story's already written. When they come to you, they're not coming to you for a story. They're coming to you for a quote. The story's already written. So you can listen to it and not fall into the trap and be able to handle that like a pro. Or again, you can give them that quote that let them lead you down that path of destruction, or just let them fill it in. But regardless, the story's already written. They're not waiting on you. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's very true. That I would say about 95% of the time, that's probably the case, right? The story's already written. I need a quote here to kind of accentuate my story, right? And give it a little bit more bang, right? And so it made me think of that though. Less of your words, more of my words. And so that's kind of where we are right now in the off season. And you add to that, I look at all these different articles from all these publications, large and small, right? The NFL.com put out an article today about the San Francisco 49ers and their outlook for 2022. And one thing that continues to be a constant, whether it be on social media, whether it be in print journalism, what have you, is that the Niners have this quarterback battle, this quarterback competition. When anybody that's been around the team or anyone who's followed this team will be able to tell you there is no quarterback battle going. Hell, Kyle Shanahan told y'all last week, we still trying to trade Jimmy. Like, it wasn't our plan for him to still be here in this building. But here we are a week later, and it continues to be promoted as a quarterback battle going into camp, which is beyond me, right? Like, these are large publications here. Like, this isn't like just, Joe Blow in his mom's basement writing this stuff up. Like, these are large publications as well coming out with some of this. And so that part is baffling to me too as well. But it all just sort of plays into, this narrative of the off season. I know sometimes for me personally, right? Like, I went on TV last week and I gave predictions for the Rams and the Chargers and what their record was going to be like coming up this season. I couldn't tell you what that record is today. Like what I said, right? Like I threw something out there. I couldn't tell you what it was though. I have no idea what, where I put them at it in terms of wins or losses, but that's just kind of where we are right now in terms of the offseason. And I think that's kind of been portrayed on Trey in a sense. And so here we are. But there's something to be optimistic about. right? When you look at Trey Lance and when you look
Oh,
at
absolutely.
this position of being quarterback one, right?
Well, I mean, you look at what happened with Garoppolo last year and the team that he had. Okay, because let me say this about Trey, and optimism about Trey. You know, I was a guy. Jimmy should play last season, right? Why? Because I think that they have the squad. I thought that they had a squad that could get to a championship.
Yeah, we were both there. I was
They win a championship.
I was adamant about that.
I was all on that. Now, in no way do I think that meant did I mean that Trey couldn't play. And I tried to say that to people all year long. It wasn't me against him. I was like, this is pro team. You're in the best position to win. Now, that being said, they decided they wanted to upgrade that position. I think physically he is a better guy. And then there's the thing, Trey comes from winning, man. He comes from winning. Just like Jimmy. Jimmy, winning for a quarterback matters. Just like Jimmy came from winning in college. High school and college, he was the winner. He went to an organization with the Patriots where he saw winning. He saw how to perform at that position and prepare to win. He got his opportunity with the Niners and he won. Say what you want to say about Jimmy understands how to win, how to prep to win, how to perform in clutch situations, how to get it done. I think Trey's got a lot of that. Yeah, he's got 17 games. A lot of people will say he didn't just start playing football then. And in those, and if you wanted to just give him those 17 in college, I think he won them all. Okay.
That part.
He's
right.
accustomed to winning. And he has the pieces around him. This is a good team. Trey just needs to come in and do his part. And you hope that that's make a few plays in some situations where you need to get over that hump that maybe physically Jimmy couldn't make. And that's why I'm optimistic about it. I think that they're going to be a really good football team. I think that they should be a playoff team. And then we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, I think so. The rebuttal to that is, well, winning isn't a stat. And to which my reply is, well, it should be, right?
Winning's the only stat that matters.
Well, exactly. But when that was the whole thing for those that were anti-Jimmy, like, right, winning isn't a stat, right? You would throw out his record out there, and win-loss record isn't a stat. But it should be, especially as it relates to the quarterback position, right? So
height isn't an issue. Height isn't a thing if you're short, because there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It like we know it makes a difference in a lot of things. But that's just how it is. You're going to sit here and throw. People were just looking for reasons to not like Jimmy and say, well, they won in spite of Jimmy. Well, let's hope that they win in spite of, because of, alongside of. Trey, I don't care. Just win.
Just win, right? Well, so there, and then there's the other interesting thing, right? Like you hear some of the stuff coming out of the locker room, and it's, was it Kittle? It was someone made the Josh Allen comparison, right? And look, I mean, there may be something to that, right? When you look at their career paths, right? Allen wasn't rated at all coming out of high school, right? Ended up having to go to junior college route, and then he went to a mid-major in Wyoming. As for Trey, he was a 3-star guy, but he wasn't really getting the looks at the quarterback position, right? So he goes to the FCS level, and he plays there at North Dakota State. And granted, it's only just that 1 year, and then that one game that they had during that spring season, and then that was pretty much it for him, right? But maybe there is something to that, just in terms of their trajectories, their career paths, and then how they wound up in the situations that they're in. And so if the Niners can get that type of production, a Josh Allen type production from Trey Lance, I think you take that every day of the week, right? Like that's probably enough to take 6 at a certain point.
Trey,
you would imagine, right?
Trey has the talent to do that. And Trey's in a great position because he's on a good team. Unlike Josh Allen, who took over a really bad team.
That part.
Trey is two things, Josh Allen. Number one, Josh Allen had a bad team. Number two, Josh Allen was taking over a team in which the culture had to be established. McDermott had to come in, who was a very good coach. He had to come in, establish a culture, establish the mindset, and say, this is how we are going to win here in Buffalo. He had to do all those things. That's all set. Kyle has a system that has proven that it can win games. Now it's just time for it to prove that it can win championships. But the system itself has won championships. So everything is established. The locker room is established. Trey doesn't have to come in and take over anything. He just has to come in and do his part. And by doing his part, he will become the leader of the team because he's the guy with the ball under center. He's going to get, he will be a leader whether he wants to. He's going to lead them one way or the other, regardless, because that's the position that they have put him in. They put him in the general spot. The rest of the troops have to follow you. They don't have a choice. That's it. If you go over the cliff, they're going to go over that cliff with you. That's just the way it is. So everything else being equal, I just see this dude being in position because he has a good team to succeed, because he's people. This is the thing. Just know this. No one void of talent. Regardless how they got there, regardless what happened, trades made, picks given up, all of these things, no one top 5 draft selection in the NFL is void of talent, regardless of the position they're being asked to play. They are talented. Now, that doesn't mean we've seen the Jamarcus Russells of the world. We can go through the Tony Mandrich and all that stuff. We can go through every position and say there was a guy drafted there where it didn't work out. It was not because of talent. Okay? Trey has the talent to play at the highest level, regardless of the school he went to and what you think about the number of games he's played and the route that he took to get here. He has the talent to play. Nobody screws up that bad. I'm just sorry. No team. And even if you say, well, if the Niners hadn't drafted him there, nobody would have drafted him there at that spot. He wouldn't have been at that spot. Even more, what I say, when you find your guy, you get your guy. At the quarterback position, if he's your guy, you don't wait. You get it. Which lets me know this organization thought that he had top 5 talent. That many, the 49ers have been right on too many other players. John Lynch, and whichever way you want to put it, Kyle Shanahan, since they have come to be the guys making the decisions for the Niners, they've been right too many times for me to think that they just wet the bed on this one. So I'm just waiting to see. I think we're good. You said it. It's time to go take 6. That's just where we are right now. So, and that's the only way we go get it. We got to take it. That's why they made this move. That's why.
This is the Believe in 49ers podcast on Believe. He is Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. I'm Rahshaun Haylock. If you sticking with that, there's also the fact of the foresight, right? Like, so if you really start to pare this thing down, you realize, like, at a certain point, we're moving on from Jimmy. And you follow this stuff. You know how this stuff works in terms of the NFL draft, things of this nature. Like, they have their eye on 2, 3, 4 years down the road, right? Any good scouting department would. So if we're going to get a guy, we're probably going to have to get a guy at this particular time, because this particular group, well, first of all, this particular group of quarterbacks is as good as we're going to see for a little bit. And then you start to narrow it down to, okay, this particular guy of this group is the guy that we want, right? Because you fast forward to a year from now, that group doesn't look so hot, right? Like this last quarterback draft, this last draft that we just had, like the quarterback class, not as good as we've seen in quite some time, right? And now if you want to look a little bit further down the line, next year's class may be a little bit stronger. But from the 49ers standpoint, okay, maybe we don't want to wait that long, right? And knowing that at a certain point, we're going to have to move off of Jimmy. Like, maybe we've reached our potential. Maybe we've reached our max with 10 behind center. And so at that
and you know, let me jump in right there. And that's a valid point right there that a lot of people miss, that maybe everyone like Jimmy was a mistake. No, Jimmy help reset the culture in a winning fashion. You had the Niners were horrible. We were bad. We were a bad football team. We were really, really bad for almost a decade before Jimmy. He helped reset that. And everyone is like, you know what? Like, he didn't do anything. He was a disappointment. And I said underappreciated is the word that they're going to look back on with Jimmy. Jimmy was not a failure, but that does not mean he didn't reach his ceiling. And I've told you before, the culture for the Niners, your best effort isn't good enough to change. That doesn't make Jimmy a mistake. That just means as we improve in all these other positions, if we need more out of that and we see that you've maxed out, we got to find somebody better than you. And I think that's what they did. They tried to find someone physically better. They liked everything about him, his leadership, his poise under pressure, his accuracy and something. I think there are a lot of things about him, his command of a huddle and the way his guys rallied around him, all of those things, bringing out the best in others, all of those things that you want a quarterback to do. Okay, but now we just need to up the physical ability. Trey, here we go. It's on you now. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously is going to be something to watch. I mean, the naysayers are going to be out there saying certain things. Kyle is going to continue to preach what he's been preaching this whole time. I mean, so far he and John have not deviated from, maybe to a fault, but that's a whole nother conversation. But they have not deviated from their stance on where they feel like this franchise is going to go at the quarterback position, something that they started last season, for better or for worse. So that's that. So, I mean, that obviously something to monitor, but I think if you look at it, I mean, you start to pare this thing down, there are certain things to be optimistic about. Now, that being said, and this is where I differ on the thing, like, I don't expect him to come out and just set the world on fire. I do fully anticipate there being some growing pains, from him throughout the first quarter, if not longer, of the season. But I mean, we'll see. That's why they play the games. But without a doubt, I mean, he is QB1 now, and so we'll see where that goes, right? Like you talked about it. Jimmy G bridged the gap, right? Now it's on 5 to take it to the next level.
It's on 5 to win a championship, and that's where it has to go. That's why he was brought in. That's why you draft a quarterback top 5, and a quarterback drafted top 5 is supposed to give your organization multiple opportunities to win championships. You're expecting him, Trey Lance is expected, even more so than Jimmy Garoppolo ever was. Jimmy Garoppolo was expected to come in and play well, and let's see what he can do and all these things. Even his draft selection, we think he can be a good player. We think he can be a solid player. We don't know if he's that guy, but we know he can play in this league. That's why he's given that opportunity. It's the Andy Dalton thing. We know this guy can play. We know he can run, but I don't know if he's going to, elevate to that level. Trey, top 5? Hell, that's Hall of Fame potential.
Yeah.
That's the expect. And so you're expecting a Hall of Famer? Someone with Hall of Fame potential is supposed to win you a championship. That's where he's at.
Yeah, I think it's to use a Laker analogy, sometimes you need a Dale Harris to get to a Phil Jackson, essentially, right? Dale Harris had a young Shaq and a young Kobe, and they were battling against the Spurs and the Jazz, and they were getting their butts kicked, and all of a sudden PJ comes in. First year they won the championship, right? This is the beginning of a three-peat, right? Sometimes, like, Dale got him only so far, right? Now here comes PJ to get him to the next level. And so you hope, you anticipate that that's what that's going to be like for Trey. So, we shall see. Want to continue to encourage you to download, subscribe, rate, review, and locate it wherever you find your podcast. If there's a like or a follow button on your particular podcast subscription service, go ahead and hit that like or follow button. Feel free to get involved in the conversation on Twitter. How optimistic are you about Trey? Hit us up. I'm at Haylock. He is at _Eric Davis _ and on the old Instagram, I am at WaTrey. He is at ED25 in some order.
2 FIVE.
There you go.
That's it. And you know what, man? Tell these people too, because we've from the crowd's been asking.
Merch.
By crowd, I mean like two people ask for a couple little isms that we throw out there.
By two, you mean 200,000? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So people go to believe.com. BLEAV. You guys know that. Go to believe.com, hit the shop, and we have some merchandise coming out there. So, because you guys have heard us talk about damn dudes, get your shirt. You've heard us talk about Take 6, get your shirt. And I know the one coming soon. I just got a text. They said they're getting it up on the website. The developer is working on it right now. And I want them to send this one to me right now, because we are the gauntlet.
That's right.
Go get them. Check it out.
We've been saying put it on a t-shirt for 2 years, and finally they put it on a t-shirt. So go ahead, get your merch.
Yeah, it took 2 years.
Tell them the website again, ED.
Oh, believe.com.
There you
it's
go.
Really that's easy. It's really that easy. BLEAV.com. Go to the shop. You'll find it. I might even throw the links up on my we can throw them up on our social media. May do that, but everybody, y'all listening to this, go check it out.
For my partner, Super Bowl champ Eric Davis, and Mr. Mr. Sane himself, Mr. Put It on a T-shirt, I'm Rahshaun Haylock. This has been the Believe in 49ers podcast on Believe. We will see y'all next week.
Peace.
For watching Believe. You can find more great content at Believe.com. That's BLEAV.com. Do you believe?